Welcome to the 5G podcast.
We're glad you're here.
We hope you enjoy our conversations about God, guns, games, goals, and gastronomy.
Now sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's episode.
Well, when I was in high school, I hated school. I hated school.
Yeah.
I abhorred school. I did not like many of my teachers.
Yeah.
And then when I graduated, I was not planning on going to college.
Yeah.
I was planning on going to welding school.
I remember this, yeah.
Because I wanted to be an underwater welder. Because I
You
graduated high school,
certified.
I had been scuba diving for 6 years already because I got certified when I was 12.
Okay.
And so, and I had been welding. My dad had got me welding a little bit when I was younger. We built a trailer together, but it wasn't like he's not a great welder by any means. He's never taken like a class for it at all. He's just kind of all self-taught, and so he doesn't like. He just kind of guesses on everything for it. It works fine, right? Like he gets the right penetration and the right, he figures it out.
Okay.
But it's not like these pretty like stacked dimes or anything like that, like you want for welding. But I took my sophomore year. I took a welding class. Freshman year, sophomore year. I took welding in high school, and then I did junior year as well and senior year as well. Did I senior year? No, I did woodshop senior.
Yeah, I was about to say one of those you did woodshop.
Yeah. But so I did the first 2 years of the 3 years of that you can do in high school welding, and I loved it. Yeah. I mean, I loved it, and I still do it as much as I can
when you can. Yeah,
when I have a reason to.
Sure.
Right? Like I'll make my own targets to go shoot and stuff like that out of steel and stuff. But and so I wanted to be an underwater welder because I was like, they make a good amount of money.
They do, yeah.
And
you don't need a 4-year degree.
It's adventurous. Like,
ship you all over.
I could still work in Arizona.
Oh, okay.
Because there are like the dams and things like that.
Nice.
They have them as well as the power plants.
You don't have to go out to like an oil rig in the middle of the.
I mean,
Pacific.
You can, but
that's cool. Yeah, so you could still stay local, which is kind of what you wanted.
Yeah. Well, and also, even if you do go out to work on oil rigs, you do shifts, right?
Yeah.
So it's 2 months on, 2 months off, or something like that.
Right.
It depends on, I think, who you get employed by, but usually it's like a rotating shift.
Yep, I've seen that pretty often
in
other jobs. Yeah.
Yeah. And so at that point, I wasn't thinking about like marrying anyone or having a family.
No, you're just
and now they're
welding.
And everyone's like, yeah, their average lifespan is like 45. I was like, frick, that's another 30 years from now. Like, I'm good to go.
Right, that sounds awesome.
Thinking that 45 was like super old.
Right, as every high school senior does.
Exactly. So
okay, boomer.
Yeah.
At a 45-year-old.
So yeah, I was like, that was my plan, and then did the whole church mission, and while I was there, I was like, I should probably go to like get a degree. And then I got home and I was like, I really don't want to. But then as soon as I had classes at college, at Mesa Community College, I was like, this is enjoyable.
Yeah,
like
learning is fun.
Well, I've always enjoyed learning. This is the thing. High school teaches you nothing, though.
Yeah.
High school is the biggest waste of time.
See, that's funny because I find myself opposite, where I enjoyed high school because it was easy. Like, it was easy for me because I do think, the learning wasn't amazing. I took all the AP classes that interest me at least, so I did like try to challenge myself, and I'll say some of those were challenging, but compared to like my university courses, not really, looking back on it.
Well, yeah.
But I enjoyed high school because it was easy, because then it gave me time to like read books and play video games in my spare time. So I was a content high schooler, like just a teenage kid.
High school wasn't like, I didn't find high school difficult. I found it boring.
Sure.
Which makes it difficult.
Okay. See, I also found it boring, but then I guess I just like...
Well, but so this
entertain
is,
myself.
I think this is the thing, because I was diagnosed with ADHD, and so when people with ADHD are bored, we can't function.
Yeah.
Because we're just like, I need some dopamine, please. Give me something here. I gotta have something.
I'm not getting it from this.
But in any case, I could not stand. I just felt like I didn't learn anything in high school. Like anything that obviously I learned stuff,
Yeah, yeah.
right? But I don't feel like it was like impactful,
Gotcha.
right? Like, for example, I'll use this example. I freshman year you had to take a world. I think it was called world history,
World history, yeah.
right? Um, which I love history.
Hmm.
I love history. But the world history classes that they teach are so stupid because it's like, yes, and in this time span, the Egyptians existed. And it's like, they still exist now. Like, Egyptians still exist. It's like, the country of Egypt has remained unchanged for like thousands of years. Like, their borders have gone like,
Yeah.
it's like the same size.
Hmm.
It's like, and then basically, like, world history turns into, oh, and by the way, in the 1600s, America started to become a
America.
thing. And then it's just American centrism world history,
Yeah.
which I'm all for studying history from a certain viewpoint, but also we can talk about history in other ways too.
That's
Like,
fair.
and if we had taken like a look at like, okay, this culture did this stuff in this time period.
Yeah.
And then, because of that, the next culture did this, this, and this, and they were fighting, and then that's how they become superior. And like, if you wove it together as a story of the history of the world, not just like, yes, and make sure you remember that from 400 BC until 400 AD, the Romans ruled the world. It's like, I'm pretty sure that like Japan didn't know who the Romans were.
Yeah.
Like, they owned like half of Europe.
They were wholly unconcerned with that. Yeah.
Like, but then we learned all about we learned all about the freaking Roman Empire,
Mhm.
but then learned nothing about the Mongol Empire, which
Yeah.
is the largest empire to ever have existed.
Right.
Like, and it was the shortest span of time. Well, Alexander the Great might have been shorter in his conquest,
Sure.
but like
sure.
Genghis Khan and Kublai Khan,
As far
like
as
it's like
how
two guys who conquered literally half the landmass of the world.
that whole landmass, yeah.
Maybe not quite half the landmass of the world because, you know, Africa and the Americas exist, but like Asia's a huge continent and they
Mhm.
basically owned the entirety of it
Right.
into Europe, you know?
I think you're probably pointing out a not a systematic problem, but just that curriculum for whatever reason they should not have thrown world history in ninth graders because
Well,
then
that's
you
true too.
because then you get American history for the next 2 years, and like that was good. That was interesting. I didn't take
I didn't
like
take American history.
oh I thought you had to in 10th grade or whatever.
What did I take instead?
Um,
Yeah. I took British literature.
in university, I took I think they call it like I did a Western civilizations class, which was pretty interesting, and then I did a also like a world religions class. So that's kind of
Mhm.
how I feel like I got my world
Yeah.
history down in university more. When you're a little bit older, I think you can understand better. For instance, in the Western civilizations, I read um, the stupid communist one, Communist Manifesto. Duh.
Oh, I was like, what?
I read that, and then like in world religions, I read from like the Bhagavad Gita and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So it's like I would not have understood that crap in ninth grade at all.
Yeah, so
So
I agree to an extent, right?
but not everybody goes to university, so it's like
well,
there
but
should be some better information taught in high school.
but I think that like it would have been way more interesting for everyone if like instead of just like talking about these like ancient civilizations as like these one-time things and this is what you need to know about them,
Yeah,
that the Egyptians mummified using salt. It's like that was literally one of my text questions. It's like,
that's
what
pretty
did the
bad.
Egyptians use to mummify their people? And the answer was salt. It's like
Salt and toilet paper.
they just teepeed everyone.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, like, yeah, mummification is cool, but like more like, but we only learn about it with the Egyptians because they have mummies. It's like many other civilizations mummified,
Preserved
they
bodies.
preserved their
Yeah.
dead. And it's like we only talk about the burial rites or whatever you want to call it of the Egyptians. We don't talk about the burial rites of the Scandinavian,
Yeah.
the Norse countries, or the Celts, or freaking the Indian subcontinent's burial or funeral
Yeah.
things, right? Where they like burn the bodies in the open and just let them smolder there on the banks of the Ganges River,
Mhm.
right? So if we're gonna talk about like world history and we're like world civilization, why don't we do about it like an overarching thing where instead of looking at like there is one culture that exists and these are everything you need to know about it. It's like, well, okay, great, but like now you're just going to compare it to your culture.
Yeah. Okay.
Especially when you're trying to like cherry pick interesting things about it. It's like, oh yeah, they have mummies. Great, that's how they bury their dead. It's like, oh, well, I bury my dead in a cemetery and we put them in a box in the ground. It's like, okay, if the Egyptians were to learn about us and they're like, they put their dead in a box? Like, what? Anyway, I don't know.
Huh.
This
Yeah.
is probably just Stephen rant. But
Yeah. Just bullcrap.
to sum it up, TLDR, high school sucked, college was good. Was actually really enjoyable.
Huh.
And I'm glad I did it.
Gotcha.
There it is.
I approve.
Stamp of approval.
Trevor
Chink.
approves this message. Go to college, kids. Unless you don't want to.
Yeah, except don't. Unless you like want to.
Yeah.
If you have no idea what you want to do in life, probably don't go to college.
Yeah.
Probably gonna be a waste of time.
Or at least do like community college. Those can be good.
I
And they're
I will-
cheaper.
I would 100%
Just like take a
Indoors.
semester.
going to community college if you don't know what to do in life.
Yeah. Pick
Because-
a couple classes that you think you might enjoy.
Exactly.
Like
Exactly.
figure out, how it's different from high school. Like, oh, this is advanced learning. Like it's a lot more personal responsibility on you instead of like your parents forcing you to go to high
Yeah.
school. So
Yeah.
yeah, it is good. As far as
And
like
your professors like usually like treat you as an adult.
Yeah.
Which is really nice.
it is really cool.
Like your teachers in high school are like, these are children. I'm going to treat them as if I'm a parent.
Like children.
But in college, it was at least I always felt like obviously you need to show respect to your professor because they are the one teaching you, and like,
yeah.
you need to be humble and open minded to learn,
Yep.
right? But they also, if you treat them respectfully and are engaging and stuff like that, like I always told my professors before the semester started,
Mhm.
if it was a new professor to me, I would go up to him and say, hi, I'd introduce myself after the first class or whatever.
Yeah,
I'd say, hi, my name is Steven. I ask a lot of questions. I would always say, like, I tend to ask a lot of questions, and if at any moment this is like my questions start to derail anything that you wanted to talk about, tell me to shut up. Like, I will 100% respect that because, like, I'll take us on a tangent.
Yeah.
Just
yeah.
to
I'll come find you in office hours and bug
exactly.
you, like
I would always, I did it a lot. I would go and, like, have a question and it'd be like, I know this is a tangent and we can talk about it later, but blah, 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 blah,
how
blah,
does
blah.
this? Yeah.
And most of the time, the professor would just answer it, and then if it prompted more questions, I would be just like, "I'll come see you later,"
Yeah.
and I would go, and we would have a conversation for 45 minutes about it later. And like, they don't treat you like you're a dumb, stupid kid when you
Mhm.
do that.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have like a high school teacher, their answer is always like, "I'm the teacher."
That is. I don't know. I'm gonna say that one definitely depends on not to continue on the topic. We already gave the seal of approval, but you can. I found a way to culture that relationship with some of my high school teachers, but definitely more common in university.
Sure.
But then also in university, I still had some professors
Well,
treating me like children.
there
but
are pretty crappy professors as well.
Yeah,
that
was
is
bad.
very fair.
But don't go to college, kids. Wait.
But go to community college.
At least go to a community
Well,
college.
what's cool about community colleges as well is that they also have like technical programs as well.
Oh yeah, so you could do like a half trade school.
Like I was going to go to MCC to go to welding
For
school
welding,
because
yeah.
they have a beginning welding program, and then you have to
Nice.
go to like the advanced schools somewhere else,
official,
right?
yeah.
But like they have welding programs, they have automotive programs, they
Mhm.
have like some pretty cool stuff that you can go do there
And I think that's
for
awesome.
really cheap.
Like, I don't know if it's just our parents' generation or whatever, of just like, you have to go to university, get a degree, which I think for a lot of jobs, for most jobs, is pretty good. For what you and I are doing, yeah, that's kind of necessary. But my previous job, I'm no longer employed
oh
there,
yeah.
Doesn't have a college degree. You can't really go to school for it, and heck, they don't have a trade school for it when they probably should. But something like that, water treatment, is a fine career to get into.
Yeah.
HVAC, for instance, has tons of trade schools, or construction, that sort of thing. Like, that's perfectly fine. If somebody wants to do that, go to a trade school.
Let me tell you, I know a lot of electricians.
Mm-hmm.
Well, depends on what your definition of a lot is. I know a good amount of electricians, and they have not super labor intensive jobs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's manual labor. So like you're still like
You're on
you
your
have to
feet.
go to school, and if you're like a high level electrician, you are a genius.
Yeah.
Because you have to understand how all of that stuff works. So you don't kill yourself
Mm-hmm. Or kill anyone else.
or yeah.
It's
But I mean, you can make stupid amounts of money as an
Mhm.
electrician.
Yeah, because
You can make stupid amounts of money.
if I'm not mistaken, the top end is like big fancy, like custom homes, like
Well,
residential.
no, the top end
top
is
end is
commercial, for like
big fancy
projects where you're
commercial.
running like quadruple op cable,
Okay.
which is
okay.
like that big.
Yeah,
You know,
gotcha.
like the size of a freaking grapefruit.
For a skyscraper or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, and if you, I mean, and also like if you are an electrician and you do it, you know, let's say you get out of high school, you go get your you go become a journeyman electrician or
Mhm.
you know an apprentice electrician,
Go get
whatever.
your shirts.
Go do all your union stuff, whatever. You know that you're probably going to be 23, 24 by the time you're like really like making some good money.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to make like 60K starting out, which is good money.
Yeah.
But then, you know, by 25 you're probably making like over 100K a year.
I'd say, yeah. If you stick with it, if you're good enough.
Yeah. If you're like continually progressing and you're like trying to actually, you know, do it. And then, you know, at 25 years old, if you're like, you know what, I like you enjoy the job, but you're like, I would like to keep, you know, progressing or whatever.
Uh-huh.
If you go and get a electrical engineering degree and go to an electrical company or even the one that you've been working for and say like,
Yeah.
look, I'm going to
agree.
take a little bit of time to get my electrical engineering degree. Instead of 4 years, I'm going to do it in 6 years, right?
Mhm.
And work for you still. But then at the end of this job, at the end of my degree, I want to help, you know, I want to become an electrical engineer for you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, because right now there's a big gap between electrical engineers and electricians.
Electricians, yep.
And they're like trying to like combine. But if you are an electrician, so you know how everything is supposed to work
Mm-hmm.
and be put together and be assembled and be constructed, and then you're starting to design these systems, you're going to be so much better.
Yeah, absolutely.
I told you this story before. I was working for a healthcare organization as their assistant director of facilities.
Mm.
And we had a hospital, not a tier 1 hospital.
Yeah.
Like, it was a surgery center with, you know, outpatient care.
Was it an emergency room? I don't remember.
No
Yeah,
emergency room.
No emergency services.
So surgery center with you know, clinics, and it's a hospital, but
you had beds.
yeah, we had inpatient care and stuff like that. But you know, hospitals and operating rooms have very strict standards of, you know, what they are supposed to be.
Right.
You know, you have to keep the humidity within a certain parameters. You have to keep the the air cool to certain parameters. You know, the filters have to be specific. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Well, we had technicians who were we had HVAC technicians who were all, you know, super hands on, super knowledgeable. Like, I mean, one of them was retired from the public prison system, and he was like their chief HVAC guy, and then he did his 25 years or whatever, and he was like, well, I'm going to collect retirement and then go get a second job. So he's like 55 or whatever.
Wow.
And super knowledgeable, right?
Yeah.
But we had a relatively new building, you know, built in like 2012 or something like that, that the air conditioning system was effectively unusable.
Jeez.
Because some stupid mechanical engineer had decided to put this really fancy valves into the HVAC system to that would shut off the water if it got above a certain temperature.
Yeah.
So, you know, most commercial HVAC systems, we touched on this last time, use chilled water to that gets blown basically through a big radiator,
Yeah, and it
and then
cools
it
the
cools
air.
the air as it's getting blown through the radiator, and then that water is then circled around and chilled again, and
Yeah,
then
and the
comes
air
back.
goes out to the building.
Hmm. And so if that water temperature gets too high, you're obviously going to start blowing hotter air.
Hmm.
Well, they put this valve on it, thinking like, oh, well, if the water gets above whatever degree, I don't remember what it was set at, I'll just shut it off, and then there won't be any hot air getting blown into the building, right?
Genius.
Super smart. Except they forgot to freaking attach it to the fans. And so what would happen is on a hot day, the water temperature would rise above that set point
Uh-huh.
sometimes because they also designed it for like a normal commercial building, the
Nah.
HVAC system, and not for like the 60 degrees that operating rooms have to be kept
Yeah.
at.
Super cold hospital.
And Utah gets relatively warm,
In the summertime, absolutely.
and so like during the summer, the HVAC system was on the chiller and the cooling tower
Yeah.
were on 100% of the time. And if we turned them off for anything, it would take 3 days for it to catch
To
up
cool down.
to
Yep.
cool the building down. So the water would get turned off, and then oh great, yeah, we're not blowing hot air into the building, right? Well, except it was still not. It wasn't connected to the fans,
The
the
fans
air
are still
handler,
on.
and so the fans were still blowing, and so it's recirculating the cooled air inside the building for a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's not cold air; it's cooled air.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it's like, oh crap, I am like so it's communicating with the thermostats,
Yes.
and the thermostats are saying, oh, the temperature's rising.
Your return
And the
is
air
going
handler
up.
is saying, like, oh, well, I'll just kick on more air, right? Hot air. I have cold air, right?
Colder.
Oh yeah, well, I'll just kick my fans on, and so now you're blowing the fans faster and faster and faster and faster and faster and faster into
Yeah.
the feedback loop, right?
Yep.
Until your air handler is at 100%, and it's not blowing cold air,
It's-
and so you're blowing the ambient room temperature air over and over and over again,
Recycling it.
and then all of a sudden your building is 90 degrees inside because you don't have any cooling systems, and the
Yeah.
outside is being pushed in.
Jeez.
So yeah, mechanical engineers need to go learn how to like do mechanical stuff.
Yeah.
Like they need to go spend 2 years on like a site
Hmm.
before they start designing systems, because stuff like that happens all over the place all the time.
I have heard the horror stories. Yeah, that was cool. Going to university, you do all these problems in engineering specifically that are just like boxes on a page. I mean, they literally teach you like for a system, you're like arrow in, box, arrow out.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like my job, I got to actually see plants. I got to see how facilities operated, and it's like, oh, that's a heat exchanger, or that's a chiller. That's ginormous.
Yeah,
That's not just a box on a page with arrows going in and out of it.
that was
So-
what was really cool about my degree, is that because I got my degree in facilities management, right?
Uh-huh.
And so we would learn the technical side of stuff, where it's like, or the theoretical side of stuff, excuse me, where it's like, here's a box, you have a pipe that goes to another box, and then we would go and we would do this activity where our professor would take us around the campus and say like, go find these boxes,
Nice.
and we would have to like, he would take us into these mechanical rooms of like, these
Oh.
massive buildings,
Yeah, that's nice.
and we'd be like,
Uh,
like you're a first year student doing that, you're like,
that kind of looks like a box.
that looks like, yeah, that's a box. That's a cylinder, so that can't be a box. There's a bunch of pipes though.
There's a lot of pipes around
And
here.
what is CHWS? What does HWS mean? What does HWR mean? What the freak is all this stuff?
Yeah.
Then you have like RO water,
Yeah,
systems,
RO water
and it
and
looks
soft
very
water.
similar to other stuff, and you're like, aha, I found the chiller. And it's
Right
like,
here, Professor.
that is incorrect, my son.
That is a resin tank. You're not even close.
It's got sand in it and like the little water softener
No,
beads or
yep.
whatever.
They're little crystals, actually, little carbon crystals.
Yeah. And then you like go to power plants and stuff like that, and that's a whole nother level, because they've got one of the hospitals I worked at, we had boilers.
Steam boilers or
Yeah.
okay.
And they were gas powered, right?
Yeah.
Gas fired
Gotcha.
boilers.
Because I've seen that like they're coming out with new ones, even at some hospitals. It's just like electric boilers, and it's like the room is very different. It's very quiet and it's not like
Yeah,
blistering
yeah, yeah,
hot.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Whereas a steam gas powered boiler
yeah.
is
They get toasty.
yeah.
There was one I was working at. So the one for BYU's campus,
Hmm.
BYU has BYU makes a lot of hot water.
Yeah.
It's super hot. Like
Just for the heating.
well, they heat the entire campus with one plant.
Wow.
So they have 13 miles of tunnels underneath their campus
Holy
with
cow.
1 foot in diameter, two 1 foot in diameter pipes, one uh,
Supply and
supply,
return.
one supply and one return, right?
Yeah.
And the water is at 700 psi. No, sorry, 1500 psi,
What the?
750 degrees Fahrenheit.
Whoa.
And because it's such a high pressure, it's still liquid.
Dude, their fuel costs have got to be insane.
It's not.
What?
It's natural gas. It's a natural gas turbine. So
Huh.
that basically just jet like it's a massive jet engine, but it also produces energy.
Jeez.
And so their natural gas costs are really high,
yeah.
but they sell energy back to the city. They sell
Wow.
electricity back to the city because they're producing so much because they have so much water to. But it's massive. I was working there in January in Utah.
Cold.
It snows. It's cold. It's like 25 degrees outside most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not that cold, but like in the 30s max, right?
Yeah.
And I was in a short sleeve shirt inside of this building because it's just a massive open air jet engine just blasting this water. It's super cool. But where was I going with this? Oh, it's huge.
It's huge. Yeah.
It's like the size of like a 737 without the wings, right? Like just the fuselage. It's like massive. It's like 200 feet long.
Dang.
In this, it's crazy.
That is cool. That's impressive.
And then some of these boilers at hospitals are like the size of like a school bus.
Yeah, easily.
They're massive. Massive. And you're like, okay, you can't just understand this as a box on a piece of paper.
No, not at all. And there's so many like pieces of the puzzle or slices of the pie that go into it. Yeah, it's so complex.
Well,
I recommend everybody should probably work blue collar at least once. Or I guess at least every guy. It's more commonly, but it's a good experience.
It's a fantastic experience.
You learn a ton about the way like the world works just by any sort of blue collar job.
Yeah, I agree. And you don't get stuck. Like you learn that like regular people exist, and like funny people exist.
Oh yeah,
because like corporate culture,
all walks of life.
Corporate culture is you have to be so PC all the time, and like HR is gonna get up your butt if you're like saying up your butt. Whereas like blue collar guys, you do have to have a little bit of thick skin.
Sure, yeah.
Because the jesting and the poking fun at and the
that comes
name calling, endearing name calling, right?
Yeah,
is intense.
Yeah, the one summer I worked HVAC was a shock, but like it was good. It was
eye opening for sure.
Yeah,
right?
it was fun.
I worked as a I don't even know what my job title was. I was 16 and
a grunt.
Floor sweeper extraordinaire.
You are the dust on the floor.
Basically, I worked at an auto shop. My dad is friends with. He doesn't own it anymore. He sold the shop, but with a mechanic who owned this shop, and he had a couple other mechanics working there. Kind of American Dream type thing. He started as a mechanic and then bought the shop and then hired other people. And my dad set this up where he's like, here, call him and ask for a job.
Summer job.
And it was like my second real job.
Okay, yeah.
It was my first real job. I was a lifeguard.
Oh, yeah.
At a Boy Scout camp for my first job, which
is good, but
good experience. A fantastic time. I had so much fun doing that, but I also had fun at this auto shop. There was my boss and the front desk guy and 3 other mechanics. So there's 5 people total, plus me, 6 people there.
Sweeping the floors.
And I started off sweeping the floors. My first week, I don't think I did anything but sweep. No, that's not true. I moved batteries as well onto a pallet so that the old batteries could be taken away. Yeah. They sold them out. They sold them back to some company. They were like recycling
to recycle the batteries, all the lead in them.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
Lead and lithium and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
But and I hated sweeping for a long time. Yeah. But one of the guy
I
mechanics.
feel like I would get bored after 10 minutes of like, okay, boss, I swept where you told me to sweep.
No. My boss literally said, "Sweep
Sweep.
everything," and I was
Come,
like, "What do
come
you?"
back when your shift is over.
Literally, I slept for 8 hours a day for a week.
Jeez.
The shop looked spotless afterwards.
Yeah, I bet.
Well, and I say sweep, but I also scrubbed oil stains out of the
Scrub.
concrete and moved batteries, and I was learning stuff because I was learning how to do oil changes and things like that at the same time.
Yeah.
But most of the time I was just sweeping, and then I started doing more oil changes and sweeping still. But because I had swept for a week, I only had to sweep for like an hour each day,
Yeah.
just to clean up at the end, right? Anyway, there was this one mechanic. We called him Junior. I don't know what his real name is.
Okay. Yeah.
His name is Junior.
Yeah.
And he had been to prison for beating some guy up,
Nice.
and he looks like a prisoner. Like tats, the beard, like rides a Harley, also has an F-450 that's lifted. Like he had to jump to get up into this truck. He wasn't like the tallest guy in the
Oh,
world.
okay. I was like, his name is Junior. I pictured like big burly guy.
He's
like,
big.
He's big.
He's about
but he's not tall.
he's in between you and I. He's probably like 6'1".
Okay.
Maybe 6 foot.
Yeah.
Anyway. And let me tell you, he taught me some new words.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, hey
And
kid.
I
some prison words for you.
well, yeah, and like the Snap-on tool guy would come, and they were like friends somehow out of just Snap-on tool guy or whatever.
Yeah.
And they would get talking, and I'd be like, what are they talking about? Like, I heard something, what the freak is this? And then I'd be like, what were you guys talking about? He's like, oh, we were talking about, like, the weather last week, or, like, how much sex I've had. Like,
yeah.
I was like, that's just, like, a normal conversation you have?
I
learned the C word from him.
Like, I didn't even know that language.
Yeah. It was eye-opening, to say the least.
Yeah, definitely.
And one of the best jobs I've ever had.
I'm sure you learned a bunch, not only just about cars, but yeah, just kind of about, like I said, how the world works.
Yeah, and
as
like
a mechanic,
I can do an oil change really quick now.
Oh, cool.
So our goal was 15 minutes per oil change.
Nice.
And that included like washer fluid and coolant and everything.
Oh, okay, the whole
the whole shebang. Check the tire pressure and everything.
15 minutes. It
was pretty quick. That was with a lift.
Oh yeah.
Which is
does make it a bit easier. You don't have to get underneath it, and
you just kind
of yeah.
But
that's cool.
Yeah. Anyway, that was our 40-minute rant
on school and blue collar and jobs and real life advice. It's goal related.
Now, if you've stuck around this long, now we're going to get to the interesting stuff.
We'll put a timestamp. You can skip to right here. This is where the podcast gets less boring. It's we we're always talking about magic and video games. We have to talk about real life stuff.
Yeah, it's true. So. And it is like, at least for me, it's like a big part of my life so far.
Yeah.
School and stuff like that. So there you go.
Gotcha.
I sent you.
Yes.
So last week, was it last week where we talked about the Hawaiian fires?
The Hawaii blue fire thing.
Yeah, the conspiracy theories.
Conspiracy. It didn't actually happen.
Well, I don't know if it did or not.
It's like, a theory.
I told my boss that.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, you have to watch this. This is hilarious. And I showed it to her, and she was like, is this true? And I was like, no, stop. Don't be this.
Like, is the earth flat?
You're on this. This was supposed to be a joke, Sandy.
That's funny.
But I sent you the laser one, right?
Yes. The laser
TikTok
one. They like lasers a green paper, lasers a yellow paper, blue paper. Oh, I can't laser it. There you go. That's it.
It's a fact. It's official now.
Yeah. So fire can't burn blue things.
Apparently, lasers. Fires obviously can, right?
Well, okay.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
That's the thing. When a fire spreads in Hawaii.
That's So it's super dumb.
But the fire remembers that it was spawned from a blue laser.
It's on the stack, right?
Yeah, it's on the stack.
That's how it works. It's got island walk.
Yes. Island block? I don't. But actually, that probably didn't work. So. The whole thing was an island.
Uh,
Yeah, that's Island Walk. It walked right over. Yeah, that's
too
yeah,
good.
that was good.
Um,
It, not too soon. My opinion I've come to understand on the whole too soon thing is like by the time it's not too soon, then it's too late.
yeah, that's
Everyone's
true.
forgotten about the thing
That's
to
true.
make comedy is supposed to make you laugh, even in sad times.
That's true.
So,
But
but yes, conspiracy theories.
I get put onto these TikTok trains of like I'll like
Uh
one
huh.
video because I think it's funny,
Yep. And
and then
now,
all of them. I think the day I sent you both of those,
uh
I
huh.
think I had probably 70 more that I could have sent you.
Wow. Yeah, the algorithm just knows that you like it.
Yeah, and I think it's hilarious. So I keep liking them because they're super funny to
Yeah,
me.
you gotta know.
And I think the one I sent you was a slideshow,
Oh
wasn't it?
yeah, dude. I don't have the TikTok app, so I couldn't even pause it. But it was just blazing through so fast, and I was like, "What? I've never even heard of these conspiracies. These are awesome."
It's so funny. It's so funny. Let's see. Uh oh, I sent you three.
I want to say the last one was
Was the last one the best one?
the slideshow, the one that I replied to, and I was like, "Dude, I couldn't even comprehend that. It was too fast." Rapid fire.
Yeah.
Yep.
So let me just open it up.
Obviously, it starts out with the oh yeah, or maybe it doesn't start out, but the moon landing was faked. You're like, oh okay, yeah, duh, I've heard that one before.
Yeah. So so funny.
I should have written the list of all of them.
So here you go. Panicked NASA cancels spacewalk after ISS astronaut's helmet fills with water.
Yeah,
They use that as like a proof of the flat Earth. It's like
right.
what? And then they have a picture of Nixon, President
Oh
Nixon,
yeah.
on the phone with the moon landing, or Nixon calling the moon
Yes.
on a landline phone with the moon landing in the
There's a
background.
picture of I think I've actually seen that one before. Yeah,
It's hilarious.
picture of the moon landing in the Oval Office.
It's hilarious. And then they use the United Nations map as
Oh.
like proof of the flat Earth conspiracy of all the nations
Guys,
uniting. It's like, okay,
it's just I forgot what it's called. The effect on our map on our globe where like the stuff at the equator looks bigger than it
Yeah.
actually is. I forgot there's a name for that, but
yeah,
that's why like Alaska is way bigger than you think it is. It's just at the top. The top and the bottom of the map are actually huge. But
yeah. Well, and then they use the pictures of like nuclear blasts as like, look, it's hitting a dome, and then they quote
that's why mushrooms.
They quote scripture saying, "Man cannot destroy the firmament that God created."
Oh yes, because that's part of the flat Earth from a religious standpoint. Is
Yeah.
there's a firmament.
Yeah,
Above
and
us.
then they have the true biblical description of the Bible.
This I couldn't even comprehend that one fast enough. Did they have like scripture references there too? Like
Yeah, they do. Windows of the
Corinthians.
firmament, the stars of heaven, the waters below,
You see right
angels,
here
other hosts.
in Genesis chapter 7.
Oh my gosh! And then it says, if the Earth is flat, why don't we see sunlight 24 hours a day? The same reason why this light bulb can't illuminate the entire wall. The light is small and localized. It's like, oh yes, the sun is so tiny
It's
that it's just like shining on only part of the flat Earth. The entire like this is what they like.
does the sun move? I don't understand.
I
Wait. Does this just take it back to like old Catholicism, like the old astronomers Copernicus and Galileo, who they were like friggin' ridiculed by the church for believing in their crazy like
the
scientific
heliocentric version.
Yeah. Copernicus came up with the heliocentric, and that was wild. And then like Galileo came up with the or maybe it was reversed.
Yeah, Galileo came up with the heliocentric.
Copernicus was geocentric. Like, no, everything revolves around Earth, and they were like both just like killed and martyred for their beliefs. Like,
yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah. So I guess they're saying everything revolves around us now.
And then they have like a picture of like the moon landing. Like, can we all start admitting this was a film studio? Then they have a picture of a bridge, and they're like, the bridge is flat, right? Do you see a curve of the Earth? It's like,
yeah, the water doesn't curve.
Water is level; it doesn't curve. I'm like, dude, okay, come on, guys.
What?
The natural physics of water. This is the funniest one.
I enjoyed this one.
This one?
Yeah, a body of water can't stick to a ball. A body of water requires containment. Okay, there's also gravity and the shape of a plane. I don't know.
And this is also just
Why
they
is
come up with these like random maps and stuff like that, and they're like, "Oh yeah, look, this was like a map from like 1437, and it obviously shows that there's like landmass up on the North Pole." It's like, yeah,
Ah,
but guess what? No one had been to the freaking North Pole in 1437.
they're on to something on that one. I'm starting to believe that one.
Yeah,
Where's the landmass
is
of
this
that
getting you here?
outdated map?
Why do they lie about the shape of the Earth? Without the globe model, the Big Bang model wouldn't be considered. Without the Big Bang model, the theory of evolution wouldn't be on the table. Without the theory of evolution, extraterrestrial seeding mankind is over. Without
Wow.
all these lies, people start thinking about the Creator. Who are we? Where we came from? They're hiding God. You live on a plane, not a planet.
There's several layers
There's
deep
several
there.
layers of just like jumping from like one thing to like if without the globe model, the Big Bang doesn't exist. Like, whoa!
But what?
I don't think that's how that works.
Yeah.
Without the Big Bang, the theory of evolution wouldn't be on the table. Yes, it would.
I don't. Yeah. Why not?
Yes, it would.
Yeah, that's wild.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. And then they have like pictures of like uh broadcasting equipment for television stations.
Oh,
Like
yes.
a massive satellite disc, and then they have like the little satellite disc on the Mars or the lunar lander
Yes.
or whatever. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yes. So
Then if this is one of the funny ones, the religious ones. If God created the sun on the fourth day, then what is the earth rotating around for 3 days?
whoa. Wild.
It's so funny. Then King James version of Job 38:14. It is turned as clay to the seal, and they stand as a garment. That's like
The
their
Earth
I-
is turned.
yeah, I don't
I
know.
guess. Cool. Look, I can quote a random Bible scripture to support
Yeah,
my
it's
belief.
so dumb.
That
In the Bible teaches in 2 Corinthians 4:4 that Satan is the god of this world. If you don't understand this, then you will never grasp the truth behind the workings of the new world order.
man,
I mean,
dang,
this is a 35 slideshow
yeah,
slideshow.
and it's all
And
just either different conspiracies or more evidence, quote unquote.
it's so funny. It's so funny. I just
Yeah,
I don't even
there's a lot of people in the world, Stephen.
and most of them are retarded. Have you seen that Indian guy?
Yes,
He's Sadhguru or something like that. He's
Uh-huh.
like one of the Indian gurus or whatever.
but he's online and he does.
Yeah, and he does like he has some pretty good stuff. And he goes, "Democracy is for the people, by the people, or by the people for the people. But the people are retarded."
That's funny,
And it's like,
and he does it in like his like wisdom, like in
yeah, his like little
voice.
like sage voice. He's like, I'm not gonna try to attempt an Indian accent because
That's fine.
first of all, I would not be good at it. Second of all, racism.
We don't want to get canceled before we even begin.
Well, if we haven't been yet, I mean, it's just a matter of time for me.
Sure.
I'm already on like all of the watch lists.
Yes, we're going to show up next week with like a stand-in for Steven. He'll be
He's
kicked
a sex
out
doll.
just to blow up inflatable.
Trevor's gonna have a conversation with a sex doll.
Interesting episode this week
And Trevor talks for an hour and a half.
to himself.
No, to a sex doll, which is even crazier.
It's probably crazier. Yeah, that's people do podcasts of talking to themselves, I guess.
This is true.
So yeah,
This is true. No,
the Indian
Oh yeah. Well, I forgot what I was gonna say.
people,
I don't remember.
people are retarded. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not gonna try to do the accent or anything.
Sure,
like
sure.
that, but it's hilarious
It's funny.
and it's very easy.
There's a lot of people in the world. Meaning, there's a lot of retarded people, and people just there's differing beliefs, differing viewpoints, whatever. You don't want to believe in the moon landing, that's fine. Again,
You don't want to believe that the Earth is a sphere or
Wait.
spheroid.
when we knew this hundreds of years ago,
Thousands of years ago,
yeah,
the
probably
Egyptians knew it was a sphere.
it was at
Literally,
least,
trigonometry was invented because the Earth is a sphere.
calculus was also invented because the Earth is a sphere.
Well, calculus was also invented because an apple dropped on a guy's head. So.
Nah, that's a false story. Calculus was invented in two different places by two different people, but
Newton invented it, though, no?
One of them, Newton discovered, I want to say, derivatives. Somebody else, I forget his name, discovered integrals on a
Oh.
different side. And it's the guy who did integrals actually proved the Earth was spherical because he used the area, he used the circumference of the Earth to determine the area, or rather the volume, like underneath. That's how you do integrals in
How
calculus.
close was he?
He was pretty darn accurate. They've come back and said he was like maybe a couple thousand meters off, which isn't that much
Well,
relatively.
especially because we know now that it's not a perfect sphere.
Yeah,
so
it's like a little
if you're
egg
assuming
shape.
that it is a sphere, which is the only way you can make that
Is the only way
calculation
you can
accurate.
do math problems. You always make assumptions like that.
Yeah.
So
So I mean, that's pretty impressive.
it was cool. Yeah, I forget where he was in Germany or something. So two different parts of the world.
What was his name? Do you remember?
I wish I could. He's regarded as one of the like fathers of mathematics, but I cannot.
Was it at the same time?
No, different time periods. I want to say slightly different time periods. My brother's gonna like
Because wasn't Newton?
hit me upside the head.
Newton was 18. No, wasn't Newton
No,
early 19s?
no, it's 18 or 17.
Was he at the beginning of 17?
Wish we would have learned that in our world history.
I know, for real, right? I'm googling it real quick.
Taking it back to our first topic of the day.
Oh yeah, early 17.
Early 17.
He was
Okay.
born in 1643.
Gotcha.
So late 1600s, probably.
Can you just Google who discovered integrals? I gotta know.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Who discovered the useless nature of integrals? I mean,
Hold up. Them's fighting words.
who discovered Leibniz?
Yeah. Yep.
Leibniz,
Like
German.
Leibniz.
Leibniz. Yeah.
Yep.
German dude. Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz.
Yeah. So they discovered the two halves of calculus.
I'm allowed to do a German accent because I'm white.
Yeah, your heritage is German.
Well, yeah, that too, but also just because I'm white.
I can do Welsh. I should.
I shagged the sheep.
That's the only thing I know. I'm not even Scottish. It's right.
I'm Scottish.
We're a little bit Irish, but mostly Welsh.
I have Scottish,
But also,
Swedish, and German.
when you do your family line back enough, you're all bastards. So it's like you're all a mixed race.
It's true.
We're all from the British Isles. It's all mixed.
All from Scandinavia.
Yeah, or
Because
Scandinavia
half of
is
the
all
British
mixed
Isles
up.
are from Scandinavia,
Oh yes,
and half of France is from. Did you know that one of the greatest kings of France was a Norwegian?
Nice.
He was a Viking.
That's hilarious.
Rollo the Unconquered, or whatever his name
It
was.
wasn't even that long ago. What is it, World War One, where they were like all English, of like
Well, no,
France and Germany
No,
and
World War One
and Russia
was cousins.
Yeah, cousins. Yes.
The King of England, William.
Yeah, William
No, Wilhelm was
the Russian
no,
one. Or the
no,
German
no.
one?
Wilhelm was because it was Kaiser Wilhelm,
Yeah,
and so he was the German Kaiser king, and then it was Tsar Nikolai
Yes, yeah, in Russia.
and King George.
James, Philip,
One of those royal names.
one of those English royal
One of
names.
those stupid inbred whores. I mean,
Whoa.
them is fighting words.
I think even the British people admit that, so it's fine.
I'm too Scottish.
It's the royal family. Everybody knows.
Well, the royal family is Scottish, though, I suppose.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But anyway, yeah, they
They were all cousins. They were all. Who were
Who
they related? It was the Queen of England,
Uh-huh.
right?
before that.
Yeah, and then her sisters married. I don't know, something like
They
that.
went to Russia, and
But they all
married,
like went to their summer palace together.
yeah, they
to go with their grandma.
like especially when they were young. Like,
yeah.
they would hang out.
And then they just decided to like, hey, I hate all of you. And then
our countries have alliances. We can't do anything about that.
yeah, well, but apparently they were egging each other on as well.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
like dick measuring. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
like
Like, hey, I got more tanks than you.
well, they didn't have tanks at that point.
I've got more
horses than you.
horses.
I have more cavalry than you.
I've got more people than you. And they go, yeah, Russia, you do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Russia's never been good at war.
Well, they're good at defending in war because
No, they're not.
No, because that's like rule number one is never get involved in a land war in Asia.
Well, but that's because Asia is horrible to fight a war, not because Russia's good at defending their land.
Well,
It's because so the reason that Hitler lost to Russia, well, one of the reasons that Hitler lost to Russia in World War II is because it was cold.
he invaded Russia in the wintertime. Yeah,
Yeah, well, because Hitler's stupid. That's
he's stupid.
why.
Yeah, and they didn't have the
Because
right.
they're like
Same thing happened to Napoleon.
Yes.
Yeah, so
And the freaking
that's
Romans.
that's 0 for 3 then. That's what I'm saying. Russia's pretty good at defending in wars.
No, Russia just has the benefit of a really good place to live.
They picked that territory.
It's like freaking Switzerland.
Yeah.
Switzerland, you know why Switzerland's never been invaded?
Mountains.
One, because they have like a really good army, but like it's a tiny army. And
Yeah,
so if
it's
you really
small.
wanted to, you could take the country. But also because there's mountains surrounding the entirety
Yep.
of the country.
These days, I wouldn't home invasion Switzerland because they are all allowed to keep their service weapons, and the military service is mandatory. So
Yes.
every home has a gun in it.
Every single household has at least one.
At least one. At least one service
So
weapon.
Finnish too, Finland.
Oh, okay. I didn't
Finland
know that.
has like a very, very good
Military.
gun culture.
Nice. Yeah, yeah.
I think they're all. I don't know if they're required to do service, but it's like highly encouraged. Like
Okay,
you get
yeah.
a bunch of benefits for doing
It's
it.
probably only like 1 year mandatory anyway.
Yeah.
If it is.
But if you do that, you can just like buy whatever you want there. Basically.
nice. Yeah,
Like suppressors over the counter
that's cool.
type stuff.
Because they know like everybody's trained in that.
Well, and also because they're neighbors with Russia,
Yeah, that's important.
and Russia has invaded them. Couple times.
Russia has a history, I think, of invading them.
Other random countries like along their
Huh.
border. Like I remember this like weird thing like I think it was like after World War II. There's like this
Yeah.
Cold War thing where they invaded like a bunch of
They
countries.
invaded a lot all at once.
Yeah, and then I feel like there and then like before World War II there was like the Finnish War,
uh-huh.
And then I feel like there's this one recently. I can't remember. Crimea, the Crimean
Oh,
Peninsula.
Crimea,
That was
and-
like 2000 and what?
2012. I think Obama
Yeah,
was president.
yeah.
Yeah,
He was. I just couldn't remember the year.
yeah. They invaded Ukraine.
And
yeah,
then
that's- and then that was it. That was the last time they invaded Ukraine.
yeah, 2012, right?
That
There's
was-
nothing more recent than that.
It's probably.
Oh, maybe some stuff in like Syria with like the Wagner
Oh,
group
yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, so Russia, they they got a really good
Yeah.
history of invading countries just
Yeah.
out of the blue. Yeah, that's
I mean, the last one was like 10 years ago though, so like
yes, they're
due
kind
for
of
another.
they're due for
right?
another one. I
Yeah.
think. Yeah, we
I
really
feel like we're missing one though, right?
we should probably like be ready for that. Maybe
Yeah.
be prepared. I mean, it's just saying.
I wonder if we should like let Ukraine into like NATO or something, just to like.
Oh yeah, all those neighboring countries, just let them in, just in case.
That was a good bit.
I heard that. Clip that one. That was funny. Yeah.
Just so everyone knows, we know that they're doing stupid stuff right now too.
Sarcasm.
The joke.
It's comedy.
Jeez.
Comedy hour.
Chill.
Russia is currently in Ukraine as we speak.
Wagner Group guy died. That
Yes,
was, interesting.
suspiciously.
English. I can English super
I
well.
was trying to talk Russian because
Yes.
he died in plane crash. You see,
Yeah, that was a.
he just got on the wrong plane. I don't know what to tell you, man. Just,
Yeah, I mean-
sometimes planes just crash.
Sometimes planes just explode in midair. It
Yeah.
wasn't even a crash. It was the plane blew up.
So just some mechanical engineer just didn't.
Yeah, they don't know their avionics very well, do
Yeah.
they?
No, and then the mechanics they just didn't check the engine. It just blew up.
Yeah, they just threw a piston. That's the only thing.
Oh
that
yeah,
happens.
bummer. That's
It wasn't a ground a surface to air missile.
no, definitely
Or
not.
definitely not a planted bomb.
No.
I mean, Russia doesn't have a history of killing anyone.
no.
I mean, they've
Anyone
never assassinated
that disagrees
anyone.
with the government.
Oh yeah, never. Right?
No, surely.
No.
I know they
I did see at one point their population dipped around like the 30s and 40s and
Well,
50s.
even before that, they definitely never had an entire revolution of people who distrusted the government, and then a lot of them got murdered.
yeah,
I don't,
no,
yeah, I'm not seeing it.
I don't think so. Yeah, I think
So
that
he just-
the revolution in the what was it?
1880s?
No, not that revolution.
Oh, a different revolution.
the 1916 revolution, 17 revolution.
Yes, yeah,
16.
yeah, that sounds about right.
The one where they went ours.
Yes, ours now.
Not your potato, our potato.
Welcome, comrade.
Because they only had one potato to share between everyone.
Bring your potato. We need it.
You want one slice of bread? It's our slice of bread.
We will split it. 7 billion or 7 billion. However many people they had at that
70
point.
million or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so he got on the wrong plane. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, for sure.
Bummer.
Yeah.
What can you do?
Anyway,
It's sad.
well, one more warlord died.
Yeah, bummer.
We're still on that conspiracy thing, I guess.
Yeah, apparently. Again.
Although, is it a conspiracy?
I
Like
don't-
everyone, they're like, we would never. Putin
Yeah,
came out and
they
did,
came
a
out
press
like
conference,
immediately. Yeah.
we would never do this. We were on good terms.
Just
like,
because he's a military dissident.
like obviously you did this.
Yeah.
Like this isn't even a conspiracy theory. This is like a verifiable fact.
A lot of our conspiracy theories and the ones we've joked about that we brought up, I think last week or the week before, it's like related to our government. Like, okay, I don't trust our government 100% on everything. I definitely don't trust the Russian government 100% on everything. I'm just saying they claim to be democratic, but how long has Putin been in there?
Since the 90s?
Since he got put in after the wall came down, like
he wasn't the first.
He wasn't the first one.
No,
I know
he was the third one.
But you know they're fudging the elections. Like,
yeah,
yeah. So
yeah.
Again, I don't know if it's a conspiracy.
I think. Yeah, I'm not gonna go there. I'm not gonna touch election stuff.
You think that?
I'm not gonna. I don't know what to think about election stuff anymore.
You think elections?
I think elections. So I saw. So,
we said we weren't going to go there.
Well, I'm going there now because I saw an interesting conspiratorial post about it.
All right,
so
all
we're on
right.
that topic.
Hit
All
me
right.
with it. Just real quick, and then we'll go to our next fun topic.
I saw a post, and it was like, it was genius because it wasn't like an election denying post or like an election affirming post or anything like that. It was saying, do you really think that if elections or if what was it? Shoot. Do you really think that the government would let elections happen if elections mattered?
Okay.
And I was like, oh, that makes me think.
But also, it's the illusion of choice. I think is very strong in a dictatorship.
Exactly.
Where the people think they have power. I think is important.
Yeah.
To retain control.
Yeah. No. Yeah. For sure. But which is funny because there's also like the thing where like you can have free elections as well.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. It was just interesting. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a great thought.
Sure. Gets you thinking. It
does.
And that's what you should do.
You should think.
Always be a critical thinker.
Or be like Steven and just spout stuff off the top of your head.
Just rant.
We don't have to talk about that next thing. I don't think it matters that much.
We'll go to the next one.
Yeah.
Sure.
I wanted to ask you.
I can talk about this for days.
Yeah. So let's set the stage.
Yeah.
I don't like anime.
You hate the Japanese.
Whoa! All right, Oppenheimer.
Too soon?
No.
No.
It's been 70 years. Like,
yeah.
Almost 80.
Yeah. Almost, yeah.
78.
Coming up in a couple of years.
Yeah, 78 years. Wow.
Think. We just had, yeah.
78. That's the world's biggest rice cooker.
Jeez. Was the world's first rice cooker? Is that safe to say? Never heard that one before. That's pretty good.
I hear it all the time.
Nice.
Yeah. My TikTok is a very, very interesting place to be.
Nice.
I get a lot of... I don't know what TikTok thinks I believe in.
Yeah.
I just think most of it's hilarious.
And they just send
because they send me super like flat Earth stuff, like
serious stuff. That
yeah. Like I think it's hilarious, but everyone who's posting this stuff thinks it's super
all
serious.
The likes and comments.
Like, I get like a bunch of like neo-Nazi stuff.
Wow, yeah.
Because they're like, the Jews are taking over the world, and I'm like, the Jews are like 1/4% of the population of the world.
What are you guys talking about?
Like, I don't think so.
They're doing a poor job at it if they are.
Yeah, like I get a bunch of neo-Nazi stuff that I laugh at. I get a bunch of like Black Lives Matter, not like propaganda. What's the right word? It's like proof of like racism in the U.S. or whatever.
Oh, okay.
It's and like I'm not like gonna bout off my beliefs about that stuff, right? Where this is not a political
No,
podcast.
no.
This is supposed to be like an entertaining
It's
podcast.
it's light.
But I get some of that stuff. I get a bunch of stuff, and it's just all I just all find it so funny, all of it. And um, one of those funny things is like dark humor jokes,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
a good section of that is like World War II dark humor,
Sure, sure.
where it's
Historical dark humor.
yeah, historical dark humor, and one of those jokes is uh has a picture of the atom bomb and it says world's first rice cooker or something like that, or world's largest rice cooker, or
Man.
something like sometimes it's like when the U.S. got rid of sushi because it cooked all the fish.
Yeah, yeah, okay, yeah. They really had a problem with the raw fish.
Yeah, stuff like that.
That's okay. Yeah, that's
it's just
dark humor.
funny.
No, I mean, when I was like, 13, I got a kick from like dead baby jokes. So it's like, yeah, no, there's certainly an element.
Dude, dead baby jokes are so funny. I'm still a 13-year-old, I guess.
Hot take. Dead baby jokes are still funny. Dark humor, guys. Dark humor. It's okay.
Dark humor is hilarious. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, that was
I don't like anime.
Yes.
Well, that's not my only take on that. I have never found an anime that I can like watch.
Okay.
And fall in love with.
Yeah.
I really liked Avatar: The Last Airbender,
Mhm.
which is arguably an anime.
It's an American animation styled after anime, which is traditionally Japanese made.
And I like animated stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I think you've seen the Clone Wars 3 times, you told me?
yep.
Star Wars, the Clone Wars.
I've watched that entire thing 3 times.
Yeah.
I watched the Amazon show Invincible.
Yeah, which again was another, like Avatar, is like American made, but styled
Which
after.
was freaking awesome.
Very cool. Very cool.
I mean, I grew up watching Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah,
right?
you're not one of these adults that like scoffs at cartoons. A lot of adults do
In
that.
fact, some of my favorite pieces of media are cartoons. For example, this is a little, I don't know if even you know this. We've been friends for over a decade now.
Oh, Steven, what are you spoiling to me? My Little Pony? Really? I mean, I kind of had thoughts that the Brody sticker on your water bottle kind of, I was like, all right.
the Pound Me Sunshine sticker.
You got your, what are they called? Cutie mark.
What?
Yeah, that's your special power. Every horse has got a little mark. They call it the cutie mark.
I didn't know that.
I have sisters.
Trevor,
I gotta clarify that real quick. I have sisters.
Lock that door again. Lock it. No, not a brony.
Okay.
That's one where I'm like, come on, guys. Like, choose a good TV show to watch.
Be a fan of whatever you want
Like,
to
if you're
be,
like
but-
7 years old and watching My Little Pony,
Why
sure. Even as a little boy, sure.
Yeah, sure. There's a dragon.
I didn't know this because I've never seen a single minute of My Little Pony.
Gotcha. Yeah, there's a dragon. He's all right. He's kind of the brunt of a lot of the jokes, though.
That feels bad.
It does. It does kind of feel bad.
But How to Train Your Dragon,
Oh, okay.
the animated TV show, they had one.
Was it on Netflix or something?
Yeah.
I feel like I heard about it.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh, it was fantastic.
Really?
It was so good.
How did it compare to the first movie? Is my first question. Comparable, a little bit worse.
I thought it was better than the first movie.
Better? Okay. And then I guess I don't need the follow-up question, but compared to like the second and third How to Train Your Dragon movies, which were not that good.
Yeah.
assuming-
I mean, they were okay. As far as movies go, they weren't bad movies.
Yeah, they were fine.
They were fine.
They're
But
watchable.
As far as like compared to the first How to Train Your Dragon, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
the TV show on what is it called? It's like it's really good.
Huh.
I don't remember what it's called. But they have like basically it's like we found these dragons and now we're gonna like explore the world with them.
Yeah.
And there's like
Is that chronologically it takes place after all the story, or
I don't remember when it takes place
Somewhere
chronologically
between.
because I think it came out before one of the newer movies.
okay? So he's at least has his dragon, the main character.
Yeah.
Okay.
They all have they have the dragons.
Toothless,
like
the black
yeah.
one.
Mhm.
Cool.
Yeah, they do. And like all of the main characters, it's really fun because you get to explore like
The world.
the main characters more, like all of them.
Oh, nice.
And it is still like an animated like young
Semi
like
kid.
preteen teen show or whatever. Like there's some like funny jokes in there that are like not just like children's jokes. It's like
Yeah.
it was
That's a good
made
balance,
it was
yeah.
made for like 14, 15-year-olds, I think. Probably was like the target age group is my
Yeah.
guess. Maybe a little bit younger than that,
That
but
sounds about right.
But it was extremely enjoyable, and I watched it a few. This is like years ago that I watched it.
Okay, okay.
I
It's
think
not new.
I wasn't married yet. I don't think.
Yeah.
Maybe I was. No, I wasn't. I don't remember. But it was really good. Anyway,
Interesting.
I like
Alright.
like animated stuff. I'm a fan of.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I've never found an anime that I'm like, I love this so much.
This is it.
Like Invincible and Avatar: The Last
Avatar.
Airbender are like the two closest things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
They're
but
anime adjacent.
you, on the other hand, are a connoisseur,
An
An
anime
aficionado.
aficionado is what I was going to say.
Yeah.
The alliteration.
sommelier, sommelier of anime,
Ah, yes, I've tasted of all
an
the
anime
animes.
sommelier.
Yes, yes, I do. I do like the anime.
So, what do you like about it?
I generally, if I had to summarize it all into one point, which is kind of hard, I enjoy the storytelling. I find the storytelling from Japanese media just refreshing and different. Different than like Western media bullcrap. Like there's no message. All right, if you can believe that. Japanese story writers just want to write a good story,
Sure.
which seems to be a lost art these days. You can find some rare gems in like Western media here and there, but for the most part, there's always some message they're trying to get across in
Sure.
TV shows. Like we've talked about recently with The Witcher, kind of beating you over the head with it is maybe an extreme example, but Western media Japanese anime is always just trying to tell a good story, and most of the time, like start to finish, and it ends, and that's it. There's no like dragging you on for however many years.
Well, that's a lie because I've watched Dragon Ball.
There's a couple.
And there are like multiple episodes of Dragon Ball Z where you sit there for 45 or 30 minutes or whatever
Yeah.
it is, and you watch them go for 30 minutes.
And they announce their moves.
Yeah. Well, no, they don't do any moves that episode. They just
they're just charging.
for 30 minutes, and you're like, I'm just watching someone poop.
Just overexerting themselves.
You need a hemorrhoid, bro.
So, with some exceptions, because a lot of those animes are from the 90s when they used to air on TV.
Mm.
And so, yeah, they did need weekly episodes, and so they really just kind of stretch things out. But that's where we get like Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon. I watched a lot of Naruto growing up as well. That was another one that lasted a while. Dragon Ball Z is probably the worst offender, or One Piece is another popular one, which is hilarious. I was just telling my wife this the other day. The joke with One Piece, that's the pirate anime. If you've seen that one.
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
Isn't Netflix coming out with a live action?
A live action, yep.
Have you seen any of it?
I've seen just
Didn't
like
they come out with it?
stills. I don't know if it's out yet.
I thought I saw a video of it.
I've seen like the trailer.
I
But...
thought I saw a TikTok of it the other day.
Oh, could be.
I don't
But
know if you have a live action.
that one, they're on like episode 1,000 or whatever, 900 something. Because that one started back in the 90s with Naruto and Dragon Ball Z and all those. Like, and so the joke with that one, any fan of One Piece, which I'm not, I haven't seen it. They're like, oh, don't worry, the show gets good by episode 400. It's a little slow at the beginning, but it gets
one
good.
episode a day for a year, and I wouldn't even get to the good part.
Wouldn't even get close. Yeah.
No thanks.
Exactly. So I'm like, that one's not for me. I grew up watching Naruto, and that one was at least split into like 2 shows technically.
Mm.
So the first show was like 100 episodes, and then the second show they did a little time skip was like 200 something. I want to say, not including fillers for both of those. I wouldn't watch that again because I don't have time. I'm an adult, but like that was entertaining as a kid. I enjoyed that, but yeah, in general, I enjoy the storytelling. New anime is generally like seasons of 13 episodes. They're 30 minutes or less. And then maybe you get like a second season or a third season. Like, but it tells a concise story. And I like that. That's probably the one point to hammer home on that one.
What are your top 5 animes of all time?
Yes.
Well, let's do 2 of these. What are your top 5 animes of all time? And what are your top 5 most recent animes that you have like? Oh yeah, if like, or top 5 animes of all time and top 5 animes of like, I'm trying to get you to watch anime.
A gateway anime.
Yeah, gateway drug.
Okay. I might have to come back to the gateway anime because I would like to come up with a list of that for you, and then maybe we can watch an episode and get Steven's opinion.
I would love that
on the week after. But at least my top five, and this maybe some of these could bleed into the gateway anime. If I don't have to do them in an exact order, but a tier list. But Death Note is probably one of my favorite animes. That one would probably be number one.
I watched the live action movie of that on Netflix, I think.
What did you think of the live action movie?
That was okay.
Okay, okay,
I mean, I was like,
that's a good start.
I was awake at like 3 a.m.
Yeah, and you wanted to see Willem Dafoe as a creepy demon.
Is that William? Oh,
That's Willem Dafoe. Yeah,
like I said, it was like 3 a.m. when I like was like,
yeah, and you're like, is this an acid trip?
well, I was very tired. I have problems sleeping.
Yeah, yeah.
So on many occasions, I pull all nighters.
Gotcha, gotcha.
And this was one of those nights. And at 3 a.m., I was like, I have time for a 2-hour movie.
Uh-huh.
Hour and a half.
If you thought that was like okay, the anime is a lot better. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
It's much better. I love the story of Death Note, and it's unlike anything you would expect from an anime. Because again, you think like, oh, it's for children or whatever. It's a like psychological like drama anime of these two protagonists. They're both protagonists. You're technically the first one you're introduced to is the like antagonist of the story. Like he's kind of a bad guy, but you start from like his point of view. So for you, he's the protagonist. And these two just geniuses dueling it out in a battle of wits because they're both trying to. The good guy is trying to catch our protagonist, and then our protagonist is trying to kill that guy. Basically,
and he has to like figure out his name or something.
He has to figure out his name. That's how that mechanic works. Really well designed mechanics in anime of their like worlds, either fantasy or what have you.
Yeah.
Really well thought out, and I enjoy that the battle of wits. Very intelligent anime, but you don't have to be like a genius to enjoy it. It is also kind of funny in some parts. The characters are intriguing, so I do enjoy Death Note a lot. It's I think one of the only like mangas I actually own. I own the whole manga in like a one home book.
That's cool.
That I've read a couple times, and the show is also fantastic. So I enjoy that one a lot. Another top anime, and I think this is on everyone's list, is Full Metal Alchemist.
I've obviously heard of that one.
Yeah, that one's popular. They had an original show like in the early 2000s. When the manga was coming out, but then the show caught up to the book and it was too popular, so they just wrote the rest of the show, kind of like a Game of Thrones type thing. And so that first show is generally regarded as not that good. They did a reboot called Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, which is good. It follows the books entirely. It's a lot better instead of them trying to write their own thing. And very, very good, very enjoyable. Again, the fantasy world and the rules they've designed work. It's perfect. It's enjoyable because it's like an alternate Earth, World War One, which is kind of cool. Like they call the leader the Kaiser, which is interesting. But then they also have alchemy, which is basically just like magic powers. But they have science to define it. Characters are believable. It's just two brothers trying to like recover their bodies that they like lost tragically, and with alchemy, science, magic, they can do that, they think. So they're on the hunt for like a philosopher's stone. So there's a lot of like cool like real world concepts thrown in there. Intriguing like political intrigue throughout the whole thing. There's like military like drama as well as just the individual characters dealing with things. There's good fight scenes, good action in that one. Death Note doesn't really have action, it's all just suspense. That one's solid. That one would probably also be a pretty good gateway anime. I don't know about Death Note. Then my next pick, it's almost a meme these days, but like for me as a 14-year-old boy, the first time I saw this one, it was like life changing. It was a really good one. Sword Art Online.
I've never heard of that one.
You never heard of that one? Okay. It's kind of a meme now because you know how I said like animes tell their stories and then they're done. Sword Art Online just decided to like keep going, but like. Season 1 is done. This 13 episodes is a whole story, and you can pretend it ends right there. And then they're like, but what if? And they do,
Season 74.
Yeah, they do all this other stuff, and they have all these offshoots and video games that I've played a couple of that have their own original stories and new shows and spin-offs, and it's like, all of that's fine. It's okay, but it's not as good as that first concept, that first idea. It's 13 episodes, and it was solid. It's like the I say it's kind of a meme now as well because it's you're trapped in a video game as the protagonist,
Oh,
and if you die in the video game, you die in real life
sure.
because you put on this helmet,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and it's if you die, it just like shocks your brain. So, but it was again as a 14-year-old boy, 14, 15. It was perfect. It was a really cool anime. I enjoyed video games. You could see the fantasy play out of like he just grinded a whole bunch, so he's like super powerful, and but nobody like knows that. He just kind of looks unassuming. So I was like, oh, I like doing that in video games. That's fun.
What do you think of? So one that I've seen a couple TikToks of that has actually been like interesting to me
Yeah,
is One Punch Man.
One Punch Man. Yeah, okay.
What do you see? Like, what do you think about that one?
I don't know if I'd put that in my top 5.
Is that the one where he fights the seven deadly sins?
No, there's one called Seven Deadly Sins.
Oh, maybe it's that one. I saw another one. I don't know. I'll have to show.
How did the protagonist look in what you saw? Was he bald?
Well, that's one.
That's One
Right?
Punch Man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, there's a different one that.
Okay, Seven Deadly Sins. He's like got like yellow hair or something.
And he's like he is one like a god or something.
Yeah,
like
he's
that.
one of them. I think.
Yeah, like
Pretty
Pride
sure.
or
Pride. I want to say yeah.
yeah, that one looked good too.
It was all right. That's you got to be careful. This is the thing with anime. Some anime, just for the target audience, that's what they call I think they call it ecchi. That's an ecchi anime.
What does that mean?
It's in Japanese, but it literally means like perv. It's like a perv anime.
Oh,
Yeah, it's weird. Like where they don't have nudity, but they kind of like stretch the boundaries a little bit. So the target audience of that one is pervs. Where so like the main character, he's kind of a perv and it's a little uncomfortable sometimes.
interesting.
Yeah, but then mixed into that, they'll have like cool fight scenes, and you're like,
Yeah, that's
what?
that's what I've seen is like a super sick fight scene where he's
Yeah.
like fighting this massive like black demon.
But then in the next scene, he's like stealing panties. I'm just like, what? So
Maybe I won't watch that one.
yeah, that's Japan. Sometimes for you, it's some anime gets weird. Don't get me wrong. I don't no. stick to the good ones. You need an anime guru to guide you through
Yeah,
the
I guess.
experience.
So One Punch Man not on your top.
It was good. Season 1 was really good, but the story didn't end, and then season 2 kind of killed it for me. I don't think it was as
Because
good.
he's kind of just like an OP dude, right?
Yeah, it's a parody of being an OP protagonist. Because you find out a couple episodes in, somebody asks him like, "What's your secret? How are you so strong?" And he's like, "I do 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, and a 10-kilometer run every day." And they're like, "Wait, that's it? That's just like a normal workout." And he's like, "No, I did this for 2 years and it trained my body, and then now he can kill anything with one punch."
That's pretty funny.
And then ask him like, "No, there's got to be more." He's like, "Well, also like bananas are really important. It's like a good source of vitamin D." They're like, "No, that's not. That's just normal." Like,
yeah, I saw a clip of him like fighting like this massive like demon kaiju or whatever,
Uh-huh.
and it's like he just like it like smacks him and it like does nothing, and then he just like
yeah,
and blows
it
up.
just explodes. Yeah, that's a fun anime. It's a comedy, but then also the action scenes are pretty well animated,
Yeah.
so it is enjoyable. Season 2, I want to say they just like swapped animation studios, so the fight scenes didn't look as fluid to me, and
Sure.
I didn't enjoy that as much. The story was still fine, but that is a funny anime. One Punch Man. I wouldn't pick that as a gateway because it's a parody of like other animes with
Sure.
overpowered protagonists. Sword Art, Full Metal, Death Note are pretty good.
Yeah, two more slots.
Two more for like my favorites. I really like this one is also not a good gateway one, but it's called Gurren Lagann. It's just made up 2 words, but the story is solid because it's a mech anime, which if you remember like Gundams from like the 90s were big. It's like robot suits. Again, it's probably more popular in Japan, but that's a parody of Gundam animes and like Dragon Ball Z type animes in general, where you're like, I'm powering up. That show pokes fun at that in the most ridiculous way. Where,
Power Rangers.
but yes, where they're just like constantly powering up throughout the whole show. It's like 25 episodes, like 2 seasons technically, because there's a little time skip in the middle. And you like from the start, they start from scratch. They just have like one crappy little mech, but it's powered by like they call it your fighting spirit. is the English translation of just like your will to fight. And so it's like just constantly like, come on, bro, you got this. And then he's just like, "Duh," and he's powering up his mech, and it's like the levels are like
Oh
supercharging.
my gosh.
And then by the end of the show, they've like they're combining like galaxy wide mechs together, like Power Rangers or whatever, and they're like chucking stars at the bad guy. Like they're just our combined fighting spirit. It's hilarious, but also it's like it's a good time. It's feel good.
That's funny.
It's funny. It's not for everyone, but I enjoy that one a lot. The two main characters, the two bros, like they just riff off each other super well. Because the main character, like, oh, he has pretty like self doubt issues or whatever, and then the other one, his bro, is like, come on, man, like you can do this. So it's inspirational, even if it's a joke the whole time.
Hmm.
And then
So that's 4.
that's 4.
What was that one called?
Gurren Lagann.
Gurren Lagann. I'm not gonna remember that.
You're not gonna remember that. That's fine. That's like the name of one of their mechs or whatever.
Oh.
So again, this is just a made up name. But think of another maybe more recent one that I've watched that I enjoyed.
Don't you have like a picture of one up on your
on the wall?
over there, or like a mini, like a figurine, like a?
Oh yeah, My Hero Academia. Duh, that's a recent one. I think that one's a pretty good gateway one actually.
Top 5?
Yeah, I'll put that one in the top 5. It's still ongoing, so that one is kind of following the trend of like I don't think they're airing on TV, but they have like 6 seasons so far. But it does seem like it's culminating to a conclusion.
Sure.
That one is really good. It's like if X-Men was a TV show.
Oh, okay.
And so yeah, right. So it's just like their fantasy world is everybody has superpowers, and so these kids are going to school to learn how to use their superpowers and become superheroes one day.
Is that the one where there's like a kid who's like way OP but like doesn't want anyone else to know?
Possibly, yeah.
I see a bunch of clips online.
That could
like,
be.
Every once in a while, I like because all of my friends are into anime.
Gotcha.
Like Caleb, I think Colin is.
Colin is, yeah.
You, like, that's all my friends.
That's it. All of them, guys.
All of them, all 3
are into anime. Surrounded by.
I do have other friends, but my 3 best friends are all into anime.
Yeah.
And I just have not ever been. I tried watching. What did I try watching? I tried watching one, and I was just like, I struggled through the first episode and started the second, and I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I tried watching a couple of like Netflix does some animes that they
they do.
Like I tried watching one called Blood of Zeus.
Oh yeah, no, I did not like that one. I didn't even finish that.
Okay, because I watched the first episode. I don't even think I finished the first episode. I was like,
I don't blame you. Yeah,
it looked sick though, which is unfortunate because like I saw like that trailer for the ad for it or whatever the trailer, and I was like, that actually looks like I could watch it. I couldn't.
But no,
I couldn't because I'm really a big fan of like Greek literature.
Yeah, exactly.
Greek mythology, more like Greek.
Maybe you'd like Castlevania on Netflix. At least season 1. I really enjoyed season 1 of that one.
The animated kids show?
No, Castlevania is it was an old video game of it's a vampire slayer.
I'm
is the main character.
Transylvania.
Yeah, Hotel Transylvania.
Yeah, I was like,
no, Castlevania is like an alternate Europe. The main character is like trying to hunt Dracula, basically, in all the video games. Is how it started. He comes from a line of like monster hunters. It's kind of cool because it's like alternate Europe. You know, it's that sort of European mythology of vampires and demons and monsters and whatnot. But it was fun. It was cool. Again, that was another like not American, but like a Western animation. I think they were Europe.
Another Western animation that I really like is I'm forgetting the name of it. It's on Amazon. It's the D&D one.
Oh, Vox
Machina.
Machina, yeah. I haven't seen that one actually.
It is enjoyable.
Oh, okay, cool.
It is quite a good time.
Gotcha.
It is really fun because it's based off of like one of the online D&D.
The big D&D podcast.
It's not. Is it 5D or whatever?
No, Critical Role.
Critical Role. I don't think it's Critical Role though because
I'm pretty sure it's based on
Critical Role.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
Because Matt Mercer is a big video game guy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and he
DMs.
plays one of the characters in it. I think.
Oh, okay, cool.
but it's like their group like voices their own characters that it's
Yeah,
based off of, right?
based off of their
Which is
adventures.
really fun because they all have like really unique personalities.
Yeah, because I think they're all like voice actors anyway that he got together to do a D&D group. So
Oh,
like
I didn't know that.
at least a couple of them are, I'm pretty sure. So like they are
Yeah.
charismatic people. They're
Yeah, no,
actors.
they are. They really are, and it was really enjoyable to watch because they created these characters,
Mhm.
right? Like these are their characters, so there's like some like of them behind it, and so
Yeah,
it's really. But there are some really funny moments in it where it's like, yeah, this is exactly how a D&D campaign would go.
that's how D&D works. Yeah.
Like they have their bard or whatever,
Mhm.
and he just all of a sudden like woos this random person and just
Uh,
like, and then one of the like subplot lines is that one of these cities that they visit on their quest or whatever for in whatever it is for like a weapon or whatever,
the MacGuffin.
yeah, for the MacGuffin, they find his like long lost daughter that he had 20 years ago or whatever,
No
and he
way.
tries to sleep with her
Oh my
in the
goodness.
show, and she's like seducing him, and then she ties him up and just like starts beating him.
Jeez.
It was very funny.
You're like, yep, that's
It was very funny.
that's what bards do.
Yeah,
That's
it's a good show.
nice. Okay.
It's a good show.
I'll give that one a
The
try then.
first season wrapped itself up nicely.
Yeah.
Second season had a cliffhanger, so I'm
Oh,
hoping
yeah.
for a third.
So you're waiting.
Second season was good, not as good as the first. The first was like top notch. Second season was good.
Nice.
Like I would recommend the second season.
Still, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, those are my 3 animated shows that I
Cool.
anyway. All right, so recap these.
Recap: Death Note,
Death Note,
Full Metal Alchemist.
Fullmetal Alchemist,
What is it? Sword Art Online.
Sword Art Online, the Kaiju or not the
Mecha. It's Gurren Lagann, but the mech anime.
yeah, and then My Hero Academia.
My Hero Academia. Yep.
Those are your top 5 or top 5 gateways.
No, those are my top 5. A couple of those blend, but so maybe we'll just try one of those anyway for
Yeah.
you. But I'm confident saying those are my top 5.
Yeah, like I said, I saw the Death Note movie, which was good.
Maybe we could start with that one since you've already know a little bit of the story.
This was a couple of years ago that I watched it. It was
Okay.
during COVID.
Gotcha.
So, but yeah, I was a fan. Meh. It was okay.
It was okay.
It was like a solid like
6.
I was gonna say 5.5.
5.5. Sure.
Yeah, out of 10.
Better than average. Maybe. Better than the median.
Better than the mean.
The mean. Which is better than average.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. There's a anyway.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's on the median. It's in like the middle area of the curve,
It's the bell curve, yeah.
right?
It's up there.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm interested to try it. I don't watch a ton of TV
Yeah.
in general, but I really like shows where I can like watch one episode for like 30 minutes. And are
Yeah.
they watchable at 2 times speed?
Some of them are on Netflix, yeah.
Well, but I mean in like not like
Oh.
can I watch them in 2 times speed? But is it like recommended to watch them in 2 times speed?
Uh,
Probably not because they're such short episodes.
Yeah, I mean, depends. Like if it's any of the action scenes, you probably want to slow down to normal speed
Sure.
for the action, but like Death Note, you could probably speed up to at least 1.5. It is a lot of talking in Death Note, so
Okay. And you watch it dubbed or undubbed?
that depends on the anime. It really does.
Because I'm usually for all of the movies that I watch,
It's
I'm usually a purist.
Oh, a purist.
I
Okay.
watch it with subtitles.
We have a purist on our hands.
Yeah, like All Quiet on the Western Front.
German.
I watched it in German.
With the English subtitles, yep.
Yeah.
Yes is the answer to that. Yes. Generally, I prefer the subs, the purism. These days, I have the 2 monitors, so it's like I'm usually doing something else while watching a
Sure.
show. I can't read while I'm doing something else, so I'll put on the dub, the English voices. And then sometimes it depends on the dub. Generally, these days, like newer animes, the dubs are pretty good. They're pretty fine, but there's some funny old ones, like from the 90s, like how Naruto was voiced by like a girl. It sounds like a girl most of the
Well,
time.
so was Aang. in
Yeah.
Avatar.
Well, they in English Naruto, they like gave him his own catchphrase in English, and it was so cheesy. They were trying to like kidify the show or something. I
Sure.
don't know. Death Note, I've seen both. Both are fine for that one. English and Japanese. So it depends.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know because I've never watched a show in Japanese with the
Japanese.
subtitles. The reason I can do most shows with subtitles, like German or
Yeah.
like Spanish and Portuguese, I just watch.
You should watch, yeah.
Spanish not as much,
Sure.
but Portuguese I just watch. I just watch the show. Netflix has a good show in Portuguese called The 3%. It's not bad. The first season is pretty good. The second season's not great.
Gotcha.
Anyway, but the European languages are all so kind of interconnected that they have a very similar cadence. Like, but even German, right? German and English have a very similar cadence when you're speaking.
Yeah.
And so for me to like watch their mouths and watch their like body language, it's like, okay, I could hear them saying this in an English cadence.
I understand the emotion.
Reading the subtitles at the same time, it's fine because like I'm reading it as they're speaking in their cadence, but
you're still experiencing it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is what I mean. Kind of depends on like how good the voice actors were in the translation, how well that comes across. So it does depend. These days, generally, it's okay if you wanted to watch either or. But
sure,
yeah,
sure.
We'll show up next week, and Steven will be a full-on anime fan.
Dude, next week I'm gonna come in a Full Metal Alchemist get up.
Yeah, there you go. We'll cosplay.
Yeah. I've never cosplayed in my life.
But maybe we'll go to Comic-Con at some point.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know if I've ever like found that to be appealing.
A thing, yeah.
I know many people go.
Yeah.
And, like, love it.
They have like video games and
yeah,
superheroes and stuff there too now, so that's cool.
I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of like superhero stuff anyway.
You're not a fan of anything.
I definitely am.
No, yeah.
It's just really random crap.
You go to gun shows. Gun shows are Comic-Con, but for gun
Yeah,
people.
I'm literally going to take off 5 days next week. Next week. Next year.
Next year.
To go to one of the largest gun shows in the world.
There you go. That's
invitation only. Thank you very much.
Ooh.
Yeah. You have to be invited to go.
All right.
Yeah.
Jeez, all right. This is gonna be the last episode. Steven's too fancy.
I'm too big for this platform.
Wow.
He says with a very straight face. Yeah. No,
That's cool.
Fan of gun stuff.
Yeah, that's your thing.
That's my thing.
We'll try to get you one little extra thing. That'll be fun.
I've already got too many other things.
Just one little thing. We'll just squeeze
too many other things, man.
Just a crippling addiction to anime, and we'll just throw.
I've already got a crippling addiction to ammo. I go to the store and I'm like, I need more ammo, and I have like thousands of rounds of ammo already.
That's funny.
It's like my wife's like, you don't need ammo. It's like, but what about this? She's like, you're gonna kill 17,000 zombies in the zombie apocalypse. I was like, what if I miss? She's like, if you miss, you suck. And I'm like, thanks, wife.
That's fair point. That's funny.
Anyway,
all right,
shooting today.
Yeah. Should be fun.
Anyway.
Long episode.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah. See you next time.
Bye.
Thanks for watching this week's episode of the 5G podcast. We hope you enjoyed.
As always, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed this content.
We're available on all social medias, as well as you can watch or listen to us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts.
Again, thanks for watching, and we hope to see you next week.
Thanks.